The government is reviving Bandar Malaysia some 2 years after it was shelved in 2017. Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad explains the change of heart was due to the significant impact the project would have on the economy. He says Bandar Malaysia will serve as a global hub to further attract high-impact global finance, technology and entrepreneurial firms like Alibaba and Huawei. It is expected to generate GDV of 140 billion ringgit. The project will proceed with the original contractors, a JV between Iskandar Waterfront Holdings and China Railway Engineering Corp. The consortium will be making a deposit of 731 million ringgit along with an additional advance of 500 million ringgit. Some changes will also be made to the plan to include the construction of a People's Park and 10,000 units of affordable homes. The government will also ensure Bumiputra participation throughout the project and priority for the use of local content in the construction process. It will also set aside some land to house the terminus for the KL-Singapore high-speed rail link, should the project be also revived. The KL High Court has today agreed to give a 3-month notice for third parties who want to contest Putrajaya's civil forfeiture action against Low Teck Joe's father. The government is freezing 7 of Tan Sri Larry Low Hock Ping's banking accounts with the intention to forfeit monies worth 48 million ringgit. It claims that the funds were gained as a result of money laundering activities and believed to have originated from 1MDB. The move comes after Putrajaya seized Low's family home in Tanjung Bunga Park, Penang. Justice Muhammad Zaini Mazlan fixed July 19th for hearing from third parties claiming to have an interest in the monies in Low's accounts. A notice to Gazette will be made ahead of the hearing. The court also granted the prosecution an application to dispense the service of cause papers. This is after the prosecution tried and failed to serve the cause papers to Low since last month, as his whereabouts are still unknown. Amid an escalating boardroom tussle, Seacera says it will be taking action against the tile maker's largest shareholders, who include Datuk Tan Wei Lian. Its board of directors says the notice of the EGM it received from these shareholders on Monday for a meeting to be held the following day contravenes the Companies Act 2016. Tan had called for the EGM to, among others, appoint 6 new directors and to remove 8 existing directors of the company. However, Seacera says Tan and the others had controlled only 7.98% of the company at the time, while claiming to hold at least 10% of its issued share capital in aggregate on the day the notice was received. It argues that the notice of EGM is therefore unlawful, null and void, and adds that it has engaged lawyers to take action against these shareholders. However, a look at Seacera's Bursa filing yesterday shows that Tan has been accumulating shares in the firm. Before the EGM, he had already been holding a direct 13.73% interest, and by Wednesday, he had raised his direct stake to 16.36%. PH lawmaker Tony Phua has criticised a UBS so-called economist whom he accused of casting extremely negative views on Malaysia based on wrong facts and outright bias. UBS Global Wealth Management Regional CEO Kelvin Tay gave his views during an interview with Bloomberg. Among others, he argued that the current account deficit that Malaysia might have could actually be higher than the government's projection of 3.4%. In response, Phua points out that the economy is not experiencing a current account deficit and that the country had registered a current account surplus of 2.3% of GDP last year. And given Malaysia's very healthy trade surplus so far, he believes Malaysia's current account balance will remain in surplus for 2019. It is believed that the 3.4% Tay was referring to was the government's projected fiscal deficit for this year. Phua also refuted Tay's assertion that oil revenue made up 30% of Malaysia's GDP. He says Malaysia's mining, including the oil and gas sector, made up 7.9% of GDP in 2018 and suggests that what Tay was perhaps trying to highlight was that oil revenue was expected to contribute about 30.9% of the government's coffers this year. Former MRT Corp CEO Datuk Sri Shahril Mokhtar has been appointed MD of DWL Resources. Prior to his appointment, Shahril helmed MRT Corp from January 2015 until December 2018. He was responsible for overseeing and monitoring the MRT Line 1 and MRT Line 2 projects development. According to DWL Resources, he currently serves as an advisor to Indra Group and is also the managing consultant and advisor of Red Book Capital.